Well, good evening, Glue Troopers, and welcome to the Tarbus. I know I said probably something tomorrow, but my wife and I just watched GvK Godzilla vs. Kong, and she was like, okay, go make your video. It was that good. It has 79% on the tomato meter and 95% on the fan approval, and I completely agree. Now, I will wave arms and give you plenty of warning before I get to any spoilers. So, I didn't catch the length of the movie, about 2 hours. It's not slow. It kicks right off. And then the first 30 to 60 seconds of the movie, my wife goes, well, that's just you. Anyway, absolutely fanboy movie all the way. I had seen a lot of the fanboy assumptions about the movie, and I think the writers were actually reading the fan fiction and cherry picking the best parts. And there are so many references to the original movies, and I mean, if you've seen the old movies, you're going to catch a little snips. You go, oh, that they took that from this one, and they took that from this one, and they took that from this. So a lot of fan service in the movie. It was just a ton of fun, and I enjoyed it immensely. I just hope they put those figures out as kits, because I'm going to buy them all. So at this point, if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to risk hearing a spoiler, a semi-spoiler, and then later real spoilers, then now is the time you want to turn this video off. I don't care. I don't monetize these things. I don't give a crap about the YouTube algorithm. So just turn it off now if you're afraid of me letting something go, because during the movie I had a few adult beverages, of which this is not one. I ran out of the adult stuff. This is just fizzy bubbly. But the movie was fun. Even if you don't know the franchise, it was fun. And if you do know the franchise, you're going to point out so many things in the movie that you're like, that you're going to recognize, and so many homages, great stuff. But not only to the Godzilla and to the Toho franchises, to other movies. Now, like I say, if you don't want to know anything, now's the time to turn it off. I'll give you a second. Dum 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 do 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 do. Okay, if you're still listening, that means you want semi-spoilers. These are semi-spoilers. They don't ruin the plot, don't tell you what's going to happen in the movie. They just tell you some things about it that you probably have already guessed. 1, yes, there will be Mechagodzilla. 2, yes, there will be Ghidorah. And obviously, what you've seen in the commercials with Godzilla and Kong. Those are the only ones that will come into play. And there will be some inner world, Middle Earth, that Hollow Earth stuff too. The movie, please, for how's sake, it's a kaiju film. Don't nitpick the bogus science. We had Cheetos and adult beverages, but enjoy your popcorn and let it be what it is, okay? Don't worry about any, inconsistencies, where they call them continuity errors. Just enjoy the film, all right? Now, at this point, you really want to turn the movie off, this video off, if because now I'm going to get into some stuff that may spoil. So I'm not going to tell you what happens in the movie, but I will tell you that I'm pretty sure they read all the fanboy fiction, because kind of this is just a fanboy fantasy come to life. Because, okay, I'm not going to say that. No, you have to watch the movie. What I will say is that, and one of the things about a great villain is the villain has to have an interesting backstory. And a really good villain is somewhat sympathetic. And the ostensible villain isn't a villain in the sense of like when King Kong escapes, where they want him to, he wants to do something terrible so he can control the world. The villain really does have a noble goal, and that makes the villain more interesting. And let's just say he takes his comeuppance like a man with the most famous phrase of all time. Oh, me. The first half of the movie, there's some development and stuff and everything, and it just picks up as it goes. And the last 45 minutes is just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, kaiju action. If you want kaiju on kaiju action, okay, that sounded a little, okay. If you wanted a big kaiju fight, you're going to get it. I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but I'm going to tell you okay, you really need to stop listening at this point unless you want me to spoil it for you, because I just can't keep it inside. Okay, again, sorry, that wasn't supposed to sound like that. These things sound so innocent in my head, and then I say them out loud, and I'm like, what? Anyway, the thing that all the fans anticipated and wanted to happen, happened. I'll just leave it at that, okay? And I saw what happened coming, just for the record. I was like, there's no way they're going to be able to keep that genie in the bottle. And sure enough, you start screwing around with Ghidorah, bad things are going to happen. So anyway, great movie. Enjoyed it immensely. It may, because I understand that it's doing so well, that you guys may not know this, but Skull Island, I think, did okay, but the second Godzilla movie did not do very well, and they thought but they're already committed to this one, so they thought this was probably going to be the end of the franchise, and this may actually breathe some life back into the franchise, or maybe it'll be the end of it. If this is the end of it, it's a good place to end. You will see stuff that will remind you of things you saw in Jaws, Indiana Jones. In fact, one of the characters' names is Indy. There is, and that character has as much of a character arc as anybody. He actually goes from kind of coward to hero. You're going to recognize some of the characters from that and from other movies, from the Godzilla franchise. Millie Bobby Brown and so on. But you'll also see some characters from other movies that you'll recognize. And don't get into just don't go into the weeds with it. Oh no, they would know this. They would never do that. Or they don't have those kinds of ships. They don't put those cannons on ships anymore. Just let it go, people. Enjoy the movie. I know nobody makes cruisers or battleships with 3 turret guns anymore. It doesn't matter. Relax. Enjoy the film. Enjoy it. It's a kaiju film, okay? You don't even really have to be a fan of the franchise to kind of enjoy it. And don't get into the whole hokey, it's turned into a buddy cop film or anything like that. Just let it, enjoy it for what it is. So, I enjoyed it immensely. I give it 95%. You're going to have a great, if you're a kaiju fan, if you're a Kong fan, if you're a Godzilla fan, you're going to be happy, because there's no such thing as a Ghidorah fan, right? Right. So trust me, it is probably the best of this series that's come out, and I was thoroughly pleased with it. Totally pleased. If somebody handed me that film and said, would you to change it? There's about 5 minutes worth of changes I would make that aren't even worth mentioning. Now, on a completely different subject, you guys know that I'm a huge Jimmy Doolittle fan, and getting back to airplanes and stuff and models. And Now that when I read the book on Tazio Nuvolari, which, by the way, I understand it's called, I was informed by someone who's in the know that even though in English we would say Tazio, in Italian it's pronounced Tazio. I am so impressed, and I'd heard, I think I've told you this, guys, before, but let me just go into this real quick. I had first heard his because I'm not a huge car, I mean, I like classic American cars, but I was never a huge racing guy, and I don't think I ever built any of the pre-World War II European racing cars, although I probably will now. I heard of Tazio Nuvolari, pronounced Tazio Nuvolari, by Jonathan Winters in the 1961 Twilight episode, A Game of Pool. Only had two people, Jack Klugman and Jonathan Winters, and I'm sure I've talked about this before, but anyway.
You know where I come from? There's a race driver. Go to the track and whisper his name. Say Tazio Nuvolari, and watch the heads nod up and down.
I looked him up. Oh, really impressive, and the more, and that got me curious, and I started learning. And then because of my affiliation with Scale Car Garage and John Kitt, I learned even more. And then Mr. Eyrich sent me the book Nuvolari, and I read it. And I was like, wow! I mean, I was already impressed with what I read, like on Wikipedia. So after reading the book, there's a lot of videos down there. There's a ton of videos about him on YouTube, and I started watching them and then reading like the Grand Prix forum and stuff on him, and realized that this guy is to auto racing what Jimmy Doolittle was to air racing. So I might do a comparison between these two guys, because there are a couple of people that stand out in any given field. And I think in the pre-World War II Grand Prix racing and European race car racing, and even in the U.S., because he won the Vanderbilt Cup, I think Nuvolari falls in the same category that in air racing Jimmy Doolittle fills as that unique talent. And that's not that there were not a lot of other great drivers, and Von Brauch and so many others, but Lang but at some point, hopefully this month in April, we're going to get into it, because he's just such an incredible, not only an incredible driver, but a very interesting person. And I won't get into it now. I'll probably put a link below. I was going to talk about a lot of the stuff he did at some point, but there are so many videos out there about him that already do it. Yeah, I'm going to put the VinWiki link below about when he beat the Nazis, and the 1935 or 36 German Grand Prix in, how do you put it, is it Nuremberg or Nürburgring? Not Nuremberg. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is that there's a reason to this day people still say that Tazio Nuvolari was the greatest racer ever. And the more I learn about the cars, just how primitive they were, and I relate them to the airplanes, which is something I can definitely relate to, and how primitive they were and what these guys did, the more I realize they earn every bit of the praise that they've gotten. And so we'll be getting to that later. Well, that's pretty much it for right now. I'll put a few links below if you want to jump ahead and get ahead on your studies. And well, what else? Well, that's pretty much it. Tomorrow we build. I've got the Waddell Williams racer here that's crying for attention. I got the P51D fixed, the little canopy that broke off, but I really don't have a place to put it, so I'm going to have to see if I can find some place that I don't know where I'm going to put that thing. I don't want to just put it on the shelf out here. It was a pretty decent build. But anyway, I'll work that out. That Edward P51 that Mr. Huber sent me, I plan to put that, do that in Korean War markings and put that on the Korean War shelf, which is where I had that one, but it's really in World War II markings. And now I'm just rambling because I'm having a great time talking to you guys. Well, I hope you're having a wonderful evening. I hope everybody has a fantastic Easter holiday. And guys, I'll put something out in the morning, but tomorrow we build. Model on. Ooh, careful, don't spill it.